names, but he was singing beautiful poems about each of the cowherd boys. He was composing, right on the spot, composing poems about the qualities of the cowherd boy, about their relationship, about what they were going to do today. And each boy was so happy. Krishna's here for me. And he was blowing his buffalo horn just for me. And when the boys would come out, then Krishna went back to his house and collected his calves, and each of the boy came with all of their calves. There were so many calves. The word is asankhya. Asankhya is sometimes translated as unlimited. What does unlimited mean? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he wants to give us some visualization of what unlimited means. If you take the number 1 and put 17 zeros after it, that is asankhya. That's how many calves were with the boys. As Krishna was playing upon his flute, as they were dancing together, going into the pastures, and the calves were dancing, and the older gopis, when Krishna would play his flute, because of their motherly love, they were thinking that because Krishna's lips are tasting the sweetness of the milk from the body of Mother Yashoda, just hear how sweet his flute playing is. And how fortunate that flute is. That day was Balaram's birthday. So he was asked to stay back, because on his birthday, Nanda, Yashoda, Rohini Devi, they would have him do yagyas and give charity and all of those things. From the way it's described in our scriptures and acharyas, it seemed like Balaram really just wanted to be with his friends. He wasn't so interested in all these formalities, but still he stayed back. And Krishna planned it that way so nicely. Krishna and all the gopas, they each and every one of them, there was limitless gopas and limitless calves. Each had their own stick. Each had prasad, a bag of prasad that their mother had prepared for them for the trip. They carried the prasad on their shoulders, and each had little flutes and little horns. And when they came into the forest, they all began to decorate themselves. Their mothers already decorated them with jewels and sandalwood and very nice garments. But the natural gifts of Vrindavan were the ornaments that they treasured the most. The very things that we just see wherever we look when we're in a forest. But they were seeing it in different light. The leaves, the minerals from the dirt. They were decorating their hair with leaves, and they were taking the minerals and taking and grinding with rocks and smearing them over their bodies, and they were collecting feathers of birds and feathers of peacocks. They would even take fruits and decorate themselves with fruits. And each of them would look at Krishna and want to decorate Krishna. Now, when you have unlimited gopas, and each one personally wants to decorate Krishna with the leaves and the flowers and the minerals and the fruits and the feathers of Vrindavan, what to do? Krishna is Rasa Bihari. He is the supreme connoisseur and enjoyer of loving relationships. He's inconceivable and unlimited in every way. And in Vrindavan, his unlimited nature is especially in his limitless capacity to satisfy everyone's desire. So Krishna actually manifested himself so that every single one of the cowherd boys was just with Krishna alone. And every one of them was thinking that Krishna's only with me. Of all these limitless gopas, I get to be the one to decorate with Krishna. And out of all those gopas, no two gopas had the same way of decorating Krishna. Because everyone's individual. Everyone has their own personality, their own taste, their own artistic abilities. So each one was getting different types of minerals and different kinds of leaves and putting them in different ways and putting tilaks and putting so many lovely forest ornaments on Krishna. And Krishna was personally decorating each and every cowherd boy. And throughout the day, every time a cowherd boy looked at Krishna, each cowherd boy, even though Krishna was one person, and they were many, each boy would see Krishna the way he decorated them. Now, this isn't due to some advanced computer technology. This is Krishna. This is Krishna's power to reciprocate with his devotees' desire to serve. Shukadev Goswami describes Krishna. He had beautiful complexion like a tamal tree. His eyes were like blooming lotus petals. His lovely, enchanting hair was curling around his moon-like face. His smiling lips, bright like the bimba fruit. He had a flute, a stick. In his belt he had a buffalo horn. His cloth that he was wearing was golden like lightning. Around his neck he wore a gunja mala. Gunja are simple sacred seeds that grow wild in Vrindavan. He had a beautiful Vajayanti mala, forest vanamala, a forest garland that extended below his knees, made out of so many of the natural forest flowers and leaves. He had a peacock feather in his hair. He had beautiful ornaments that Yashoda Mai put on, and all the different natural ornaments of the forest. When they went out to take care of the cows, the calves, the cowherd boys, they really didn't have anything to do in that sense. Because the calves, they were so deeply attached to Krishna. However many there were, just with a single glance, they would never leave Krishna. And in Vrindavan, the pastures were so full with luscious, nutritious grasses. The calves were absolutely happy. And in this way, Vrinda Devi, Yogamaya, arranged it in such a way that the gopas could put their entire attention on playing with Krishna and playing with each other. At one time, Krishna went a little distance from all of them to a very scenic place. And he was looking out at the beauty of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is non-different than Krishna. Vrindavan is the abode of Sri Radha, the pleasure potency of Krishna. Therefore, just as Krishna's beauty and sweetness is never the same, it's ever increasing. Similarly, Vrindavan, on the spiritual platform, is ever increasing. If you look at the same tree or the same view, you can never get tired of it, because it's constantly in such a spiritually dynamic way for the pleasure of Krishna, becoming more and more and more beautiful, with unlimited variety everywhere. As Krishna was looking out, and Sri Vrindavan Dham was making herself so ever increasingly sweet for Krishna. And one of the gopas cried out, "I will be the first to touch Krishna," and ran to Krishna. And all the unlimited gopas, they all cried out, "I will be the first to touch Krishna." And everyone was running to Krishna. It's not that even Krishna has to expand himself in many forms. Krishna can do anything he likes. But each and every gopa thought that they were the first to touch Krishna. Not only did they touch him, they ran up and they touched and they embraced Krishna. And Krishna embraced each gopa. And everyone is thinking, Krishna's just letting me embrace. And many of the gopas started talking among themselves. I was the first to touch Krishna. No, I was the first to touch Krishna. And they said, Krishna, who was the first to touch you? Krishna said, it doesn't matter, we are all together. Ultimately, whatever competition we may have to show our love for Krishna or to serve Krishna or to serve the great acharyas, they are most satisfied when we actually take satisfaction in being all together, appreciating each other's service. All the games and the playfulness of this world, children like to play. The origin of that, in its perfection, is in the spiritual world. The difference between play in this world and play in the spiritual world is the play in this world, as innocent as it may be, never really satisfies the heart because we're trying to enjoy. But in the spiritual world, everyone's intent is to give Krishna enjoyment. And Krishna enjoys when we enjoy, so we will enjoy like anything because it will make Krishna happy. That is the Sakya Ras of Vrindavan. They would play their flutes, they would dance in the pastures and the forests, and they were very fond of imitating various animals. there would be bees, and they would hum like the bees. They're really lazy bees. They were very enthusiastic bees. Hare. You are all being recorded. They would imitate the motions of the bees and the humming of the bees. And they would hear in the trees the cuckoo singing. Louder, please. Sound kind of like jackals. They actually sang just like the cuckoos. And Krishna was doing everything his friends were doing. He was encouraging like anything. The Gopas would say, Krishna, you sing like a cuckoo. And Krishna sang like a cuckoo. His voice was millions of times more melodious and sweet than the cuckoo's. So much so that the cuckoo birds, they were extremely honored that Krishna was singing their song. But at the same time, they felt so embarrassed and so humble and so insignificant because Krishna was singing so much better than they could sing. But the beautiful thing is that made them so happy. They were embarrassed and they started hiding behind the branches of the trees because they couldn't show their faces, because they were the cuckoos and they couldn't sing near like Krishna. But that was their happiness. And the Gopas, they were so playful with Krishna. They would say, Gopal, look at, you're singing so much like cuckoos, so much better than cuckoos, that now all the cuckoos are hiding in shame. You should not sing like cuckoos anymore. Why are you doing this to them? Krishna would stop singing like the cuckoos. And they turned to the swans. And they would make all the beautiful, graceful gestures of swans. And they saw ducks sitting by a lake. And the Gopas would sit just like the ducks, silently, not even moving. It doesn't say they made the sounds like the ducks, but they probably did. Ladies, you don't have to do it. Unless you're enthusiastic. And the peacocks. The peahen and the peacocks were dancing together for the pleasure of Krishna. And Krishna so expertly danced and moved just like a peacock. And oh, how the peacocks were so happy. Krishna was acknowledging them and appreciating them in such a way. They were filled in transcendental ecstasy, and all the boys began to transcendentally dance like the peacocks. And they would praise Krishna. You are dancing so nicely like peacock. One boy saw a baby monkey on a tree. And the tail of the monkey. Now, if you do that, if you do that, the monkey will probably turn around and bite you. So please don't do that. But when Krishna was in Vrindavan, the little boys would pull the tail of a monkey, and the monkey was afraid and jumped to another branch, and the little boys wouldn't let go of their tails. They were just following right behind. Exactly with the same motions as the monkey, they were following the baby monkey and laughing and laughing and laughing, and the monkey was running, running, running. Others would sit next to a monkey, and the monkey would look at them and make an expression on their face like monkeys do. And the little cowherd boy would make the exact replica expression looking back at the monkey. And then the monkey would jump away and go from branch to branch to branch, and the gopas would jump from branch to branch, playing like the monkeys. And some of them saw little frogs. Who is this? Is very pleased with you. I don't know what you do with your spare time. Undoubtedly took a lot of practice. But the frogs would jump, and the little boys would go right next to the frogs and jump with the frogs and jump with the frogs, and the frogs would get scared and jump into the water. And the little boys would jump in the water after the frogs. And when they would see the water, they would see the reflection of each other in the water. And they would start talking to the reflection and laugh. They'd start making all sorts of gestures to the reflection and say, "Look at this person, how strange he looks." And they'd go to a well, and they'd yell in the well, and there would be an echo. And they'd laugh. And sometimes they could kind of see a reflection in the well, too. And they'd say, "Krishna, Krishna, there's somebody down there." And Krishna said, "Who are you?" And an echo would come and say, "Who are you?" And Krishna would say, "I asked you." And then the echo would come up and say, "I asked you." Krishna said, "You are a fool." And then the echo would come out and say, "You are a fool." Krishna would say, "How dare you say that I'm a fool?" And the echo would say, "How dare you say that I'm a fool?" Krishna would say, "Who are you?" And the echo would say, "Who are you?" And Krishna said, "I am the son of Nanda Maharaj." And the echo would say, "I am the son of Nanda Maharaj." And Krishna said, "You come out and I will give you a good beating." And the echo would say, "You come and I will give you a good beating." And everyone would laugh. This is how the cowherd boys would spend their days. Sometimes they would play all games with little balls in the forms of the fruits from the trees. Sometimes one side of their teams would be the constables, and others would be thieves. Sometimes they would play, Krishna would be, or others, the emperor, and the others, the subjects. In this way, Shukadeva Goswami tells that the Parabrahman, that person who the Jnana Yogis worship as the unlimited, all-pervading Brahman, the supreme power within and beyond all of existence. That same personality who the yogis, they worship as Paramatma, the Lord within the heart of every living being, the witness, the knower of past, present, and future. And those who the devotees see as Bhagavan, the all-beautiful, all-merciful Lord of their hearts. The Gopas, they just saw Krishna as their most loving friend. And Krishna reciprocated them, with them, as their friend. And how countless lifetimes of devotional service is required to attain the good fortune of the cowherd boys of Vrindavan. Srila Rupa Goswami tells us that somehow or other, just think of Krishna. This is the fortune of the Brajvasis. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that when the Gopi or the Gopas and Gopal would play, their play was so intoxicating. It was so inconceivably, unlimitedly increasing each other's happiness at every moment. It was impossible for them to stop playing. But at the same time, it would be lunchtime. So, or breakfast time, whatever it was. So, by the Yoga Maya potency, she would arrange one of Kamsa's demons to come just before lunch to stop the playing. And usually it was so incredibly exciting the way Krishna would liberate the different asuras that it would make their appetite even more enthusiastic. Shukadeva Goswami explains, while they were playing like this, one asura named Aga entered Vrindavan. Aga means sin. This Aghasura was a very best friend of Kamsa in Mathura. He was the younger brother of Putana and Bakasura. We discussed Bakasura yesterday. You can imagine what kind of family influences he had. Because usually the younger children very much like to copy the older brothers and sisters. Putana and Baka. Not only was he in that family, but he was best friend and trained by Kamsa. Akasura was most cruel. Kamsa was so outraged with Krishna's behavior and so fearful for his own life, he sent Akasura. He killed your brother and sister. You go to Vrindavan and you kill him. Akasura hated Krishna. He wanted revenge. He was so wicked, so cruel, that killing Krishna was not enough for him. He had vowed that he would not only kill Krishna, he would kill every calf, every cowherd boy, every gopa, every gopi, every single resident of Vrindavan, he would murder. And he made a plan. He came into Vrindavan, an area that's today called Sapoli, and by his incredible mystic potency, he transformed his own form into that of a python, a massive serpent. But he planned it in such a way that he would devour all the gopas and their calves. This snake was 8 miles long. His idea was he would open his mouth like a massive cave, and he would look just like a wonderful place to explore and play for all the cowherd boys. And when they all went into his mouth along with Krishna, he would devour them. And without Krishna and the children and the calves, all the cows would die, and all the older gopas and gopis would definitely die in separation from Krishna and their children. This was serious mass genocide. His plot was to exterminate from the world the whole Brijavasi race, or community, let us say. So he lay down and he manifested this form and was completely motionless, just waiting. And he saw something that really disturbed him. He was watching and seeing how the cowherd boys, along with Krishna, were having so much fun together. This was churning his mind with ever-increasing hatred. He couldn't tolerate that Krishna and his friends were having fun. He was thinking, this is the killer of my sister Putana. She was a very nice, beautiful lady. She didn't do anyone any harm. Krishna mercilessly killed her. And my brother Baka, he was a great soul. Krishna attacked him and killed him. This is the way the false ego thinks. You see, the world is a mirror of our own consciousness. Sometimes people talk about being objective. To some extent, we can be objective. But actually, nobody can really be completely objective. Because we're all subjects. Yes? A living being is a subject, not an object. The very conscious force within us is not just an object, it's a subject. So how can a subject be objective? A subject is subjective. And in the spiritual world, everyone is seeing Krishna according to their particular ras, and everyone is seeing Krishna in a very unique way. Hanuman is seeing Ram according to his love and devotion. The gopas, each gopa is seeing Krishna according to their own unique love. And Krishna is revealing himself accordingly. Now in this material world, when we're envious, that envy colors everything we see. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, if you wear rose-colored glasses, everything is rose-colored. Everyone and everything. If you wear yellow-colored glasses, everything's going to be yellow. According to our consciousness, we see everything. If you see a flower, an artist is saying, oh, look at this flower, let me draw it and make a nice, beautiful painting. And he's seeing the flower in one way. If a man has some romantic attachment to a woman, he sees the flower and he says, oh, let me steal this flower and offer it to my beloved and put it on her hair and she'll be so happy. And he's seeing it on the hair of his beloved. If a person has hay fever or allergy, they see the flower and they just run away, start sneezing and their eyes start itching. Let's get that flower out of here. And a devotee sees the same flower and thinks, oh, just see Krishna's beauty in this flower. Let me collect it and let me offer it to Radha Shyam Sundar with love and devotion and put it in their garland. So no one is seeing it the same. So that's the way life is. So we have to understand this. Whenever Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that I only see faults in others because I am honeycombed with so many faults myself. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmani kavihaste suni chaiva svabhakecha pandita samadarsha. Krishna tells in Gita that one who is actually learned sees every living thing as a child of Krishna. Sees Krishna in the heart of everyone. Sees the whole creation as an opportunity to serve Krishna. Sripad Vallabhacharya, this was one of his very strong teachings, is a devotee should see the whole universe as Krishna's playground and think, how can I utilize everything there is for Krishna's service? Sri Rupa Goswami's explained this principle of Yukta Vairagya. Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam, to see everything in relation with Krishna. But if we have greed, everything and everyone we look at is going to be tainted by that greed. And when we have envy, the worst of all qualities, Krishna tells Arjuna, you can understand this message because you have no envy. This is significant. One could memorize every verse of the Bhagavad Gita and recite them 108 times a day in precise, eloquent Sanskrit. And be able to give a commentary that will mesmerize hundreds and thousands of people whenever you speak. But if there's envy in our heart, we can't actually understand a single word of it. Because understanding is not just an intellectual conceptualization. Actual understanding is the transformation of the heart that awakens our love, our devotion, realization. Aghasura, he was vengeful to Krishna because Krishna killed his brother and sister. He was seeing only goodness in Baka and Putana, and only evil in Krishna. And for him, there was nothing that disturbed him more than seeing Krishna and his friends having fun. It was unbearable. He wanted them to suffer. And when you want somebody to suffer, it's too painful to see them having fun. Do we all have that experience? You don't have to raise your hands or anything. But just in your own heart, you can ask that question. The problem is me. Even if somebody has faults, if I'm enjoying seeing those faults, if I get absorbed and get some sort of gratification in seeing those faults or speaking those faults, the disease is in me. The fault may be true, may not be true, but the disease is me. That actually I'm found gratification. Our God was the symbol of sin. He was burning with the desire to cause them suffering and death. And the more he saw them enjoying, the more frustrated he was becoming. The cowherd boys saw something they never saw before in the forest of Vrindavan. They saw this giant structure of some sort, and they began to speculate. What is this? Somebody said, look, one of the Gopas said, it looks like such a wonderful playing place. It's a mountain. Look it's an incredible mountain that has been created in Vrindavan just so that we can have fun and enjoy with Krishna. And this mountain, it's extraordinary. They were all talking among each other as they were laughing. It kind of looks like a giant python. Yes. The mountain, it looks like it has a lower mouth that's on the ground, and the higher mouth, the upper part, is in the clouds. And it looks like those structures that looks like massive white marble pillars. They look like a python's teeth. And that fishy smell that's coming out, must be a massive cave. It is a massive cave, and there must have been a forest fire long ago, and some animals must have burned there because it smells like dead animals. And look at this wide highway. It looks like the python's tongue, and it's red. Let's go inside and explore and play. Some of the boys, they looked at this